This one gallery has very special requirements, and that's plastic coated wire, which I've never used before. It says to go over, and then under. The problem with the plastic is that it keeps it from bending. It's just so stiff. Ugh. I do not like this style of wire. Like, ow. I just dropped off the blowfish painting, and I am very close to a beach apparently. This is perfect. I was expecting crazy rain. I'm just gonna eat my sandwich, drink my coffee. I want some sandwich. Looks like he's sticking around. So cute. So cute. I thought it was gonna rain, so I just brought pencil crayons, thinking I wasn't gonna do anything. And this like tiny sketchbook I don't use yet. This one I wanted to use with alcohol markers, but then I realized I don't have any alcohol markers. So it doesn't soak through the whole way like I wanted it to. Very thin paper. Sneaking up on me, huh? Who's sneaking? Oh, hello! Peekaboo! Peekaboo! So twice this month, I face some big fears and insecurities that come from putting yourself out there. And each time, I felt a strong urge to opt out, certain that I would fail them. The challenge in May were a couple of public art applications. One project is a vinyl wrap for an electrical box, which is relatively simple. I could paint something and then scan it in such a way that I could enlarge it really big. The other one would be a crosswalk design, and that one only accepted vector art. And because I was invited to the projects kind of late, I only actually had a little under 2 weeks to submit anything. I do realize that these things usually only really require a concept sketch, but because there was so much time in the planning and the jurying and the discussions and stuff, I really wanted to make sure that I put forward something that looked good, combined with my fear of making promises that I can't keep. So I like to be able to know exactly what I'm submitting and how it's going to turn out. So by day, I blitzed through a big painting of Lubin flowers, which was technically the biggest watercolor on paper that I've ever done. And by night, I was struggling to teach myself how to bend lines in Adobe Illustrator. So for the painting project, which I was a little bit more comfortable with, I went with an image of lupins. I take inspiration from things that I see when I'm living life. There are just so many lupins. And the theme for the project is to cover up ugly boxes and to brighten up the neighborhood. So I thought, this is something that I can easily conform to. The vector project was so far out of my element. Instead of painting with individual pixels, you use a vector program which creates lines according to a mathematical formula and like placing nodes. And so I took this opportunity to try to teach myself how to use Adobe Illustrator. And this was not my style. I really did think that when I got to the deadline, I would just not submit anything and just pretend that I was in order to teach myself how to make something. But after a few iterations of this project, my little flatfish were starting to make me smile. And I thought to myself, it almost feels like a shame to do all this work, to reject myself. When I was a teenager doing like NaNoWriMo stuff, I took a lot of inspiration from Stephen King's story about where he would collect his rejection letters and hang them on a nail. Think of rejection letters not as a discouragement or a sign to quit, but rather as an accomplishment, as a positive sign that they are actually putting in the effort to get published. And even salespeople will begin their careers by intentionally seeking out 100 rejections, because they know that the more that you put yourself out there and get a bunch of no's, statistically, you're likely to start getting a yes. I've noticed that rejection usually comes in the form of an awkward pause, or a generic form email, or even an eternal silence, which is honestly not that bad compared to my true inner fears, which is, what if I'm chosen for this project or this job? And then I perform really badly and embarrass myself. What if I designed this crosswalk and then the neighbors go on Reddit to complain about how the crosswalk looked really ugly? But the most likely to happen fear, if I rejected myself, if I selected myself out of the running, I knew that I would feel shame and disappointment that I fell into my old patterns again and denied myself the opportunity to maybe do something big and fun. Would feel a lot worse than just being ghosted by some project organizer. So I sent it. And there's a paraphrase quote by an artist, Kelly Day, and she says, "What we believe is what we create, because we act on what we believe." And I really wish that I had a happy ending, that I could tell you that I got a yes or a no. But if you do struggle with the fear of rejection, consider the rewards that I've already gotten from trying. And for me, it's this feeling that I have overcome a purposeless fear. I learned a new skill. I refreshed my sense of purpose with my art by writing all of those documents. And now I'm left with a couple of new art pieces for future use, and the pride of knowing that I did something brave. And a couple of rejection letters are not going to change that.